My husband mastered the art of selective hearing to avoid every single chore. But when I finally stopped screaming and started playing his own game, watching him lose his mind became my favorite hobby. To understand why I declared a silent war on my own marriage, you have to witness the maddening cycle of weaponized incompetence I lived with. Addison would conveniently go deaf whenever I asked him to do the dishes or hang the laundry, only to gaslight me later by claiming he never said he wouldn't do it, while I stood amidst the wreckage of his laziness. One night, I asked him explicitly to clean the dinner table while I bathed our son, Leo. He grunted in acknowledgement without looking up from his phone, but when I emerged an hour later, the table was still a disaster zone while he chuckled at TikToks on the sofa. I swallowed my rage, refusing to nag a grown man, and went to bed. The next morning, the grease had congealed into a disgusting film, and Addison had the audacity to sit down for the breakfast I cooked and claim he just forgot. He smirked, promising to do better next time, but his word was as empty as his contributions. Before leaving for work, I gave him one simple task: hang the wet laundry. He nodded enthusiastically, mission accepted. But when I returned that evening, the balcony was empty. I opened the washer to find the clothes sitting in a damp, mildewy heap, the sour smell of rot hitting me like a physical blow, confirming that his forgetfulness was actually a choice. I had to rewash the laundry because he let it rot, but instead of apologizing, my husband lay on the sofa, scrolling through his phone, and acted like I was the insane one for expecting him to lift a finger. To understand why I finally exploded, you have to witness the sheer audacity of his laziness. The washing machine beeped loud enough to wake the dead, but Addison didn't move. I shouted from the kitchen, nothing. I walked over and kicked his foot, and he finally looked up, annoyed, claiming he heard me the first time and would get to it. But we both knew that was a lie. He had already promised to hang the clothes that morning and failed, leaving me to come home to a stinking mildewed mess. When I pointed this out, he just clicked his tongue and told me to wash them again, dismissing my labor as if it were nothing. I ended up hanging the laundry myself because waiting for him was a losing game. But the disrespect didn't stop there. At dinner, he blasted videos on his phone while our 3-year-old son watched, confused why Daddy could break the rules but he couldn't. When I asked him to put the phone away to set a good example, Addison ignored me until I yelled. Then he rolled his eyes and hit me with a disgusting insult, telling me I sounded like his mother and asking if I was going through early menopause. I tried to reason with him, explaining that Leo was copying his bad habits, but Addison just shrugged, saying Leo could play on his phone too for all he cared. My rage had nowhere to go. I fed our son, ate my own cold dinner, and then asked Addison to do one single parenting task: bathe Leo. He ignored me again, laughing at his screen until I physically kicked him. He snapped at me, annoyed that I interrupted his scrolling, and grudgingly agreed to bathe his own child as if it were a massive favor to me. I realized my husband wasn't just lazy, he was actively training me to be his servant by pretending to be deaf, so I decided to show him what happens when the servant quits. To understand why I declared a cold war in my own home, you have to witness the moment I snapped. I walked into the bedroom to find Addison lounging on the bed with his phone while our 3-year-old son sat ignored on the floor, still unbathed. I had asked him repeatedly to help, but he just shifted his position, eyes glued to the screen, banking on the fact that I would eventually break and do it myself. It finally clicked: he wasn't forgetful, he was strategic. His mother had just moved out after 3 years of waiting on him hand and foot, and he expected me to seamlessly take over her role as his personal maid. So I stopped playing his game. I bathed our son, tucked him in, and the next morning, I cooked breakfast only for the two of us. When Addison emerged, demanding food, I casually told him we had already eaten because he never asked me to cook for him. He stormed out in a rage, but I wasn't done. The next day, I asked him to hang the laundry again, but this time, I only washed his clothes. When I returned from work to find them still rotting in the washer, I left them there. The following morning, panic set in. Addison realized he had 0 clean uniforms for work. One set was mildewing in the machine and the other was filthy. He looked at me for a solution, but I just sipped my coffee, finally letting him experience the consequences of his own weaponized incompetence. Welcome to share your feelings in the comments section. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you want to see more story content, please check out the other videos on my channel.